Despite the many updates that have occurred, the Diluvian has remained a consistent low barrier of entry method for solo players to farm relics. So once again, this is the best Diluvian PvE build, but for farming relics specifically, which is what I think all of you care about. However, I won't only be dropping this build, but when we reach 2,500 likes or 500 subscribers gained, I will be dropping every Diluvian v4, which will include every meta Diluvian build, including some other ones like Seraph Soul v3. So make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see that. And a huge thank you to my channel members, especially those kind souls on the Mega and Super tiers. They get these videos early along with other channel member perks. So let's get into how I progged the ultimate Diluvian farming build. Along with that, I also need to answer a question people have had for months on end is what is better, Wave 25 or Wave 50 of the Diluvian? And in modern times, it's definitively Wave 25. Although the answer does sort of depend on what you actually want out of the Diluvian. If you want a challenge, then Wave 50 is obviously far harder than Wave 25. If you're after fun, then that's subjective, just do whatever you like. But if you want actual relics from the Diluvian, then without a doubt the best option for you is going to be doing Wave 25s. Because let's think about this. A Wave 50 of the Diluvian is going to take about the average person 50 to 60 minutes. Maybe you're a little bit faster, but I'm just going off the only videos I can find on YouTube. So we're going to assume 50 minutes to be generous and go more on the lower side. However, a Wave 25 is going to take a decent build about 4 minutes to complete. So that means in the time that it takes you to complete one Wave 50, you can complete over 12 Wave 25s. Which means you're going to be getting far more Wave 25 chests. However, the chests are also a topic that we need to look at. So what do you actually get out of Wave 50 chests? For the most part, it's a mix of relics, mainly armors and idols, enchants, and the Tidekeeper schematic. Now, Tidekeeper is the one thing that is exclusive to Wave 50 of the Diluvian, because enchant stones, you can just get them anywhere. And with relics, well, you actually get a bigger variety from Wave 25. Okay, well, that's not exactly true. It's more accurate to say that you have a more equal chance of every relic from Wave 25, at least in my experience. Just from videos that I've seen that show the Wave 50 loot, it's almost entirely armorers with some idols of Young Shul, and only very rarely do you actually seem to get Moon's Eye tomes. Whereas in my experience of just doing an hour of Wave 25 on a previous test build, I ended up getting quite a few Moon's Eye tomes as well as other relics. So after about 1 hour, this is all of the relics that I got. Now, this isn't even like a good 1 hour, plus, you know, the 13 goodie bags, which would transfer into a lot more Moon's Eyes, and I believe goodie bags are actually replacing the relics in the chests, but I could be wrong on that since I obviously don't know the code of the game. So this actually means that Wave 25, while each individual clear is going to give you a lot less, because of how many more clears you can do in the same time, you're just going to end up getting more relics as a net. Which means that instead of focusing on Wave 50, which has become incredibly hard, I can make a build that's purely focused on what people actually want from the Diluvian, a solo way of easily obtaining relics. Because Wave 50 is honestly not even fun to do anymore, at least for me. They've made the humanoid AI way smarter in Wave 50, meaning that it basically auto parries all of your attacks. So if you just don't have a mantra that gets past it, then you're not going to have a particularly fun time. There is stuff like Sightless Beam or Warden's Blades, for example, but with how high of HP, especially those Dawnwalker MCs do towards the end of the Diluvian, it can be an issue to do it, and a lot of people do end up wiping, which is why instead this build is purely just going to be focused on clearing Wave 25s as fast as possible and actually getting you that loot. Because Wave 25 is fairly safe, you're only really gonna wipe if you get extremely unlucky with enforcers, or if you're just too overconfident with bounders and don't output enough damage. Player here? Okay, thought so. Oh, there is a player. Soulbreaker. That sounds like a max power, so I better be... Actually, no, I'm Valve. Oh, wait, there's two on me. Okay, I'm not about to fight two at once. I'm just gonna lead him to Mr. Soulbreaker. Thank you. Actually, he might put me in combat with the auto scream, so I gotta be careful. What is this guy's build? I think he might be cheese. because he has Vortex Echo and Soulbreaker. It's like Vortex Echo strikes me as a cheese weapon. Well, hopefully this guy's friendly. And he probably is. I'm just gonna go clear another room of the crypt while hopefully he doesn't decide to gank me. Anyways, where was... Oh, more NPCs spawned? Okay, I'll take that. This guy's moving really slow. Is he friendly? Why is he afraid of me? Okay, this guy's AI is literally just broken. Why is he afraid of me? I am Power 3. There is not much to fear here, Mr. Crypt of the Unbroken guy. Yeah, he's literally just holding S and backing up, like, the entire time. Okay, well, I'll take the free kill. And that guy scared me for a second. Why is this guy just clearing Crypt of the Unbroken? He's at max power. I don't think he's gonna get any XP. I don't know, maybe he just, like, needs notes or something. These guys scare me. Okay, they're all friendly, apparently. Back to the debate of Wave 25 versus Wave 50. So yeah, you can do a lot more Wave 25s. You tend to get pretty good loot per one, and you're basically never gonna wipe, meaning that it's also a beginner-friendly method on top of just being more efficient for relics in the long term. By no means can this build not do Wave 50, it's just not the focus of the build this time around. Okay, I think I managed to only aggro one. Move this guy around the corner. There we go. Sightless Beam is actually really good for those humanoids on the higher waves, because most humanoids just don't parry Sightless Beam, meaning that it can actually do a ton of damage to them. And if you don't know, Sightless Beam is the highest damaging mantra in the game. It already out DPS prime turrets. What is that guy doing up there? Okay, I might need to lock in for a second. Those screen shakes have kind of been throwing me off. Oh, what is this lag? Come down here. Why is this guy gripping so many things? Dude, does this guy know he can auto grip? It's okay, we'll clutch up, Oh, okay, I was worried for a second. Okay, we're good. Okay, hopefully I can power up. I do have Vow of Thorns enabled because this is actually the third time I'm doing this progression. The first time the build turned out alright. It was originally going to be Seraph Soul v3. However, I wasn't happy enough with the performance that it demonstrated. The second time the build was good, but I wasn't happy with my mic quality. So I believe the third time around, which is, can this guy stop? Bro, does this guy know he can auto grip? I gotta go tell him. Wait, I think, oh, he's downstairs. Oh my god. Because I'm not able to regenerate HP because this guy keeps auto gripping for some reason. This guy keeps just gripping for some reason. Dude, you auto grip. You don't need to put the whole lobby in combat. I don't think this guy, yeah, this guy doesn't know about the auto gripping feature. Because you can just M1 NPCs a couple of times and they die. There's no need to grip them with Soulbreaker and combat tag the entire lobby. Yo, someone recognized me. Hello. I miss the days of progging at Hive because I used to get recognized a whole bunch and just be able to prog with fans. Sadly, they way over gutted jobs to the point where that it's not even fun anymore. I doubt we're gonna power up from this amount of willpower. Okay, oh wait, yeah, as I was saying, the second time around, it was better. I ended up experimenting with pre-shrining the Palebriar in order to save on points because Palebriar was used more as a damage supplement in that build instead of a primary source of damage. However, I realized that I could just ignore the Palebriar and instead go for attunements with Blood Rend to buff off the rest of my mantras. And I think this time around, I can get an even stronger version of that build because the previous build was already able to consistently clear Wave 25s in 4 minutes without any difficulty. So by stacking even more damage on top of that, hopefully I can push to like 3.5 minutes. What's this guy got against me? Okay, well, I'm not able to win against him. Did this man do it? What an idiot. Wait, I might be able to live. Nah, there's no way I'm living. Please be on my side, Freshie. Yeah, that guy does not seem very... He's running at me with his weapon out. I don't like that. How did this max power fail to gank me? Freshie, go away from me. Bro, really? Why are they calling 2 dudes? I am 1 deep bound Freshie. Oh my god, the max power's back. Man, if I was a little more cautious and trusted my gut, I would have been good. Oh, what an idiot. He got clipped out of bounds. How did my man get clipped out of bounds? Okay, well, I mean, I'm Vow of Thorns, so I'm just gonna go to depths. Oh, unfortunate. What losers? Well, that's honestly fine. It doesn't really matter because depths prog is still fast anyways. It was surprising that was a high diff move to gank a power, well, 5 at the time, Freshie. Because those guys were like clipping outside a guild base. They were struggling to get to me and the whole 9 yards. Oh my, watches are kind of annoying. It's fine though because we'll just do the old method of Actually, no, they changed jobs. I forgot. I am also kind of stuck in depths now because, you know, Vow of Thorns. But it's fine. It makes the prog more interesting to work around it. Instead, I am just going to try to get a job. And we're just going to deep down prog for once. I mean, that's faster anyways because I am a deep bound. Here we are. Job board. Ideally, I'd like... Okay, they don't have any at waste, so I'll have to go to the flat gate in order to get a job there. I am Illinois, by the way, so I'm not going to be fighting anything on the way. I do try to transport myself in low player count servers just to minimize the risk. So now I'm just going to take a couple easy missions that I can do in Saltor Waste. One kill should honestly be a power since we're stacking Vow of Thorns with the deep bound buff. Although I could go simple as my flaws, I personally choose not to most of the... Oh, I am not going over there. Okay, where else can I go? Okay, we'll go over here. Yeah, I don't quite want to fight a deep owl that's corrupt and a pteropod plus a lionfish at the same time. You know, I'm like okay at PvE, but that's a little much for me. Okay, there's just a shark over here, so this guy would be a lot easier to handle. Hopefully those Gigameds don't keep following me, since half the time when you wipe as a deep bound, it's because you've got multiple mobs aggroing on you at once, which is honestly just RNG to do with the spawns. I kind of wish they made the jobs spawn faster as well, because it's kind of unfun to just wait around to see whenever the Sharko is going to spawn. Alright, while we wait for the Sharko... Oh, come on. You didn't even let me do my thing. I wanted to, like, give a thank you. Well, okay, it's more interesting to do it while I'm fighting anyways. I wanted to give a huge thank you to Zero, who is one of the people that has helped me optimize my gameplay and builds for the Diluvian. When I say optimize my builds, it's more like optimizing the mantras that I use. Because while I make the, you know, base build itself, he normally just gives me his actual experience with the Diluvian, since he has grinded the Diluvian far more than me. Plus, he's actually told me some tips to clear some of the waves faster, which has definitely been a big help. Thanks to him, that was the original reason that I actually attempted the pre-shrine Pale Briar, and it definitely worked out in my favor, because sadly, pure M1s just aren't the most optimal in the world for Diluvian. Like, god, my parry game is not on point today. Another Thresher. I could have powered up after that Sharko if I was paying better attention. Let's just do this. Easy power up. Grab Magical Resolve, just so we can regenerate even more ether in the Diluvian. We're modifying our mantras pretty heavily, and because we're not primarily just going something like Iron Sing or Flame, we can't always cast them for free. Then I'll also grab Reinforce, as this is just a free defense and damage buff. Additionally, I think it's time that we discussed a repeat topic, but one that is important for players to know. And that's the answer to the question that I get asked by far the most in all of my videos. What is the best PvE build? And the answer to that has never changed. There cannot and will not be a singular best PvE build, because simply put it, the criterias of what players are actually going to do vary quite a lot. For example, let's just look at a build that can do everything without much difficulty. Difficulty as in getting low. And that would honestly be this build, or just Seraph Soul. It can clear the entirety of the game with basically no difficulty. However, I wouldn't call it the best PvE build, mainly because of efficiency. Because it's not hard for a build to be able to do everything in the game. I mean, you can clear every boss with a power 1 freshie as long as you have enough skill. And that guy fell into the void. I mean, it was either him or me. So, you know, I'm kind of glad it was him at least. At least there is some corrupt Alpha Sharkos that I can take on instead. That being said, there is a King Jelly right here. Oh, alright, we're only going to be taking on one corrupt Alpha, I guess. Just going to wait for this guy to teleport. There we go. Okay, I might want to lock in a little bit here. Just because if this guy kicks me into the void, I am doing a very low power layer 2. Or I'm just going to clutch like that again. You know, I gotta stop fighting near the void. I mean, it is getting close calls, which is definitely good for, you know, the content, but I'm not getting a lot of XP out of it. I mean, to be fair, I do kind of have 36 free trainings, although it is kind of hard to see. So I could honestly just, like, fast forward through a lot of the early game of the prog so we can do more interesting stuff like layer 2. Well, I'm only really gonna get like 3 powers out of it, which isn't really gonna be enough, so I think I'm just gonna go back and take more jobs. But as I was saying, with efficiency, a build can easily do everything in the game. A power 1 freshie can manage to kill every single boss without too much difficulty as long as you have the skill. Like Chaser and Etheron have been done on freshies before. Titus is in theory possible on a freshie. but it's just the clear that I'd say would be the hardest part. The only sort of difficult things are Hell Mode, and, well, the impossible one is Diluvian, which you can't realistically do on a freshie without absolutely ungodly levels of luck or inhuman skill. But the thing is, not everyone is going to care that much about a Diluvian, because realistically, the Diluvian is kind of just the solo relic farming method, and there are certainly faster ways of farming relics if you're already an established player, or if you just have teammates, in which case you just do enmity. Man, a bar per hit, not bad. Oh damn, he's squishier than I remember. I swear King Threshers had more HP last time I fought them. Anyways, another power up. So that's why the best PvE build honestly changes person to person, because not everyone's gonna care about Diluvian. So okay, you can ignore that, and then the best build might be something like Lunar Lord or Shining Maelstrom, depending on what mix of enmity and Elder Primonon you want to do. However, even that isn't the full extent of the truth, because not everyone is going to want to have to deal with Zero Fortitude or the downsides of Berserker and Lunar Lord, and maybe you just don't feel like using M1s or using certain mantras. Because the thing that most people ignore is that it doesn't really matter how good your build is as long as you enjoy the build that you make. Because at the end of the day, PvE isn't a really competitive thing. I mean, there is some competitive aspects in speedrunning, but for the most part, it's a pretty chill game mode. You just try to kill whatever you want to fight as fast as you can, or just get whatever loot you want. So all that really matters in the end with your build choice is that you enjoy the build that you make. And that's why I truly say there is no such thing as a best PvE build, because there is only a best build you can make and a build that you enjoy playing. I don't think I've actually fought a Broodlord before. Well, actually properly fought or progging and not just stat checking. Damn, they're squishier than I thought. That was like 2 parries and he was already dead. Oh, okay, might want to lock in for this one. I don't know how much commentating I'm gonna do. Please don't aggro. Ooh, okay. I went quiet there. I had to lock in because I got to 2 bars because I was yapping too much and I did not want to risk it. But it's fine because I'm actually surprisingly good at King Threshers. Well, I surprised myself with how good I am. You know, they're not that hard to master, but that breath attack, I suddenly got really good at dodging it out of nowhere one day. But that same philosophy that I applied to PvE builds can also be applied to PvP in a much more extreme sense. Because PvE metas, they don't really change that often, they more just improve. Obviously, nerfs do come around every so often, like the recent Temp Shock and Metal Turrets nerfs, that did change things quite a bit, but for the most part, the meta stays the same. However, in PvP, because the meta is always shifting so much, there isn't really one build that's super dominant for very long, unless it's like a Cheese Soulchemist build, or even Silent Hearts, which I'm surprised Silent Heart hasn't been hit yet. Because in PvP, your own individual skill with the game's mechanics is more important than the build itself. Obviously not saying that build isn't important, because it very much is. The meta doesn't quite matter as much as in PvE, since your own skill can usually determine how a build performs. And that's also why my advice to any new players looking for what builds to make is to forget the meta, just practice the game, and enjoy what build you make. Because who cares about playing meta if you're not having fun doing it? Like, it's a game, that's why we're all here. And sure, that's not to say you can't have fun playing the meta. Like, I have fun in Deepwoken when I make a PvE build that's better than anything I've made before. Which is why I've made so many builds and why I don't really have any time for stopping. Because despite what some people may think, I have like 5 builds in my back pocket that I'm kind of just waiting for the right time to prog. I mean, it's more like, because when I make a build, I need to record the prog, which can take like a day or 2. Then I need to actually practice with the build to get good footage, then edit everything, make the showcase, etc. Which all of that does take some time. So I have certainly no shortage of builds, because I've progged 3 in the last 3 days. I mean, mainly because I kept improving the build, or there was just issues with the footage. Because I don't actually know if this version of the build is going to be stronger than the previous one that I made. Because the previous one was already really good. It's just that my mic quality in that was very and I thought I could also just improve the build in general. But I will let you know the results when I actually test. Even if I need to release the previous build maker I had instead of this one, one, I will do so. That being said, I am pretty confident that this build is going to result in an even bigger performance increase for Wave 25. This guy wants to prog with me. I mean, sure. He's not gonna get me wiped, right? And that'd be the plot twist of a century. This guy's actually some depths ganker lackey who was sent to wait for me to get put in combat and then gank me. Although he is probably just a newer player that wants to prog with someone, and I don't mind having help, since the faster I kill the enemies, the quicker I power up. Keep investing into willpower. That is a Void Walker. I'm gonna watch him. He is going a different direction. We're good. Oh, lionfish spawned. I don't know where that guy from before went. And I'm sure he's fine. Or he'll just hear me fighting a lionfish and come to help. That being said, I am starting to get to a high power, so yeah, maybe he's not gonna be here in time. Oh, actually, I finally hit the right point of the build. Now, I'm just gonna head back, and we are going to make Scholar's Brews, because we need to level up Blood Rend. And although I could just autodidact that, because I am at a low element, it is actually incredibly fast to use Scholar's Brews. If you don't know, just drinking one gives you a lot of element training if you're below 50 in that element. So we'll grab these, and I will go to the Deep Bound Campfire. You craft them just by using mushrooms and any sort of mantra modifier. Luckily, I put a bunch in my bank ahead of time because I knew I was going to need to make these. That there, craft 10 of them. Sadly, you can only craft them in batches of 10, which is a little bit annoying, but I can deal with it. So we'll just take all 10 at once because this should give us a power up. Because we're using Vow of Thorns, the training XP that we get is modified pretty heavily. There we go. Now we'll start to level up our Blood Rend. I could just use a Blood Rend mantra on the guards now that I think about it. And using Scholar's Brews is cooler because I did set it up ahead of time for this purpose. And I'm not really going to get to use it much post-shrine. I'll grab Neuroplasticity. See, Armor Conserver I guess is useful because if you do run out of armor in the Diluvian, it is wraps for you. Piercing Will, I do actually want to get Heretic Sutra. Okay, why am I going proficiency? I don't know why I'm going proficiency. I did this the last time I progged, where I was meant to go Song Chant, but instead got proficiency, and then I had to spec out of it later. It's fine. It only costs 1 knowledge to change a trait at Shrine of Mastery, so we're not really losing that much. Anyways, there's another 10 Scholar's Brews, so let's keep training our Blood Rend. We're only after 50 for my favorite damage multiplier in the game, Rush Hour, which has 100% uptime with Brick Wall and will buff all of our mantras by 15%. Also, fun fact, we're not even going to go Dawnwalker on this build, because Dawnwalker is not the most optimal oath in the game. Well, at least if you're not fighting lots of humanoids, it's not. Actually, even if you are, Blight Seer is just directly better because of just how good Sightless Beam is. Oh, we got a job out of nowhere. Okay, well, I'll take the free job completion. That's just some more XP for us. Don't want any of these, so I'll grab the rare card just to get it out of the talent hand pool. Last resort for some more damage. We are below 25% more times you'd think, just because I do like to use an Ishin's Ring in the Diluvian for max damage. We should get to the end of these Aeon Logstones by the time we hit 50 Blood Rend. Scholar's Brew is a very good item. I am super glad they added that because training attunement was really slow if you didn't have a mantra. And even though it's not hard to just set up an auto clicker and just use your Blood Rend training item all day, I definitely appreciate any speed upgrades that we can get it. Also, did I get a shield? No, I unfortunately didn't. Well, it's okay because we can get Turtle Shell post shrine anyways. I'll craft 9 more Scholar's Brews just for now. See how close we get. Damn, Scholar's Brew is more powerful than I thought. Alright, not bad. We got most of the way, just 2 points off, but eating this last Scholar's Brew should get us there. 1, and there we go. Power 13. I am probably going to need to hit the guards a little bit with my Blood Rend mantra just so I can hit the 50 Blood Rend mark. Then I think I'll just go get Heretic Sutra, and we can cap off by getting the Brick Wall requirements. Grab Thresher Claws, a little bit more pen can hurt, and let's just continue to grow Vitality. I'll try to stop clicking Proficiency, although that technically does make progging slightly faster because our Providence Sword's weapon is dealing more damage. Let's see what remaining Blood Rend points we have. Damn, we have like nothing. Okay, well, we'll just hit this guy with Crucifixion. This mantra's hitbox is really weird, by the way. Half the time when I use it, it just misses, so I guess it's just not meant to be used close up. Yeah, look at that. It just clipped right through him. Its hitbox is super weird. Luckily, I only need to deal with it for 8 more blood rend points. And this should be the final crucifixion. There we go. 50 blood rend. Now let's head over to Deep Widow in order to get insane enough for Heretic Sutra requirements. I do need to wait until power 15 to actually go down into layer 2, but I should easily just be able to level up my fortitude and willpower. Honestly, before starting these 3 progs, it had been months and months since I had previously gotten Heretic Sutra, because it's really just not a good talent for PvE anymore. Like, there's a lot easier ways to go insane, and I rarely go 80 willpower. I remember back in the earlier days in PvE when a lot of people would still go 80 willpower. Oh, goodie bag. What's in this goodie bag? Armorer's needle. I mean, I'll take that. Can never hurt to have more armors. But Heretic Sutra used to be an extremely common damage multiplier on builds, mostly because we didn't fully understand how Lose Your Mind and Piercing Will work. If you don't know, Piercing Will only activates when you're actively losing sanity, so only for a couple seconds during Heretic Sutra, and Lose Your Mind scales with the sanity you've already lost. And, well, you don't really want to be at max sanity for very long, so Lose Your Mind isn't very good. The only reason it's usually used is because it's a free talent that comes along with the Thrall of Enmity. Honestly, I sometimes imagine going back to like verse 1 with the knowledge that I currently have now, and just wondering how strong of a PvE I could make. Like, imagine a pre-nerf shrine build, like nowadays. It would actually be insanely strong. Why is there a guy out here? You guys scaring me. You guys scaring me. I am going to log because I don't like a guy just like casually waiting outside of Widow. Now, let's hope that I manage to get out safely. So I'll join a low player count server, which I should have done. I am getting arrogant. I need to remember, join those low player count servers. They keep you safe for a reason. No, I lost my mushrooms. You know what? I should have noticed that I was well above carry load. Yeah, you heard him pull out his weapon as well. That guy very much could have been a threat, because who just waits behind that wall? Although, to be fair, if he was a threat, why wouldn't he just attack me right out of the gate? So yeah, I don't know what that guy was doing, but he also ran after me, as you could hear by Deep Widow. So yeah, I am not risking wiping. Always better to be safe than sorry. Okay, I should be insane enough from the Widow, so now I'm just gonna wait till I'm out of danger and then call the Deep back to Castle Light. Actually, I can probably just power up while I'm here, since I did kill a corrupt lionfish on the way. If I'm really lucky, I'll hit power 15, but I honestly doubt it. Okay, yeah, we're getting to the point of the pre-shrine now where we're not even getting any cards that we need. Although there is Rush Hour, a card that we very much do need. Don't care for any of these, so I'll roll 2, and I'll see what more points I can get while I'm here. I think you actually do get passive willpower XP while being insane in the depths, so that probably did contribute right there. Oh, okay, just a couple fortitude points. Well, it's fine. I think I can just use those willpower points right here and actually, no, I have autodidact. And let me just abuse autodidact to get to power 15. And I'll also Call of the Deep back. I can't Call of the Deep. Well, I don't really feel like walking back, so I guess I'll just edit up what I have of the prog already while I wait for my Call of the Deep to refresh. It should still be like 10 to 15 more minutes, sadly. It's been long enough now, so we can just Call the Deep back and actually let ourselves down into layer 2. I almost forgot how late brick wall builds tend to shrine, because we're almost gonna be power 16 by the time we Shrine of Order, which if you look at our knowledge means that we're gonna have over 20 by the time we shrine. So yeah, you can't really mess up this build, because the only really difficult part is I need to shrine of chance to a brick wall and not a scratch. Not that not a scratch is really doing much. And because those are advanced talents, we can just mystic them and we have a much higher chance of getting them since they stem from other things. So yeah, messing up this build is sort of impossible. Oh yeah, not to mention you can also Shrine of Blasphemy as well. For those of you who don't know, as soon as you come through the door, you just wait for this wind to go away, go through here, and then immediately hit a hard right. And then when you fall down, just continue to hug this wall until you find the NPC, talk to him, and there's Heretic Sutra. Sadly, they patched being able to clip through the bell door, so it does take slightly longer to get this quest talent. Because I'll just pass massively gain willpower in the depths. Also, I just realized how bad the clipping was. Jesus. I should just be able to hit 100 willpower by the time we get to Young Shoal anyways. You know, I'll kill this Gigamed for safety because we do actually get decent training XP from them just because of Deep Bounds plus Valve Thorn stacking. Oh wait, no, my prayer beads are about to break. Okay, let's head back to Castle of Light, buy more prayer beads, and then go to Young Shoal. There we go. Now let's see how many willpower points we have. We only need 7 more, and it looks like I'm using my autodidact points. I mean, that's fine. We have so many that it doesn't really matter. Okay, now we meet the requirements for Brick Wall, and all we've got to do is Shrine of Chance for it. I don't think I need to invest into anything else pre-Shrine, because I'm only getting 5 strength post-Shrine just so I can get Carnivore. So let's just glider over the void. We just want a Mystic for the Human Architecture tree. There's 2 cards in it, those being Brick Wall and Not a Scratch. Shrine of Chance, let's just re-roll a random card we don't need. There's Brick Wall, the main card that we actually want. Also, if you don't know how Mystic works, only the first card in your talent hand is actually affected by the Mystic. And there is Not a Scratch, the other card that we needed. So now we should just be able to Shrine of Order. That all looks good, so there we go. I'm just gonna go buy the trading items for Frost Draw and Flame Charm, and we can continue to level up our attributes. We're really close to the end of the build. Thankfully, because we got Warden's Blade so early, trading our Frost Draw is going to be very easy. We're getting 60 of it on the build, and because of how many autodidact points we have saved up, it should be really easy for us to just get a power or 2 from Frost Draw, and then just leave the rest up through clicking autodidact. Decided it was best to join my own region, since for some reason I just don't have any Frost Draw points. So I'll just kill like 1 target with Warden's Blades and Frozen Servants, and that should give me close to enough to power up. I'm not too concerned about running out of XP when we start using autodidact either. Okay, let's hope this Deepal isn't corrupt. And it's not. Okay, I'll take it down. I remember back in the day when I used to avoid these things like the plague, and then I realized just how squishy they really were. Oh, Lionfish up there. I'll take that guy down too. Actually, I should probably train my Frost Draw first, just so I don't waste any points. Although it can't hurt to just aggro him. Alright, now if I block that beam with a tree, it won't deal any damage to me. And I think he's targeting the divers anyways. Oh, there's someone over there. Is that a player? It's a Silent Heart heavy build. What are they doing? Oh, they're not. Well, they don't notice me, so I should be good. Okay, there's the Lionfish dead, so we can keep leveling up our Frost Draw. Power 16. I probably should have started to use Mystic for mantras because there's a lot that I can get right now, but as I am, I'm not really gonna get them. I mean, it's fine though. I'll use a Moon's Eye post-shrine, and obviously if you don't have any Moon's Eyes, then in normal prog you would just kill an Atheron, which, you know, I'm not gonna do for the sake of time, and because this time around we're not going Dawnwalker. I will get to level... Okay, that's 2-star Iron Sing mantras, just because there is a lot of stuff at 2-star that we do want. King Gigamed, I would take that down, but it's kind of annoying. Easier just to go for the Lionfish and get most of the way to a full power. I mean, at this point, I can probably just start using my autodidact already. I just want to be sure that when I start doing it, I don't have to come back and keep doing other stuff later. Besides, Frost Draw is just really easy for us to train. Lionfish spawned and already dead. Wow, that was surprisingly fast. If I'm lucky, that should be a full power through just Frost Draw, although I don't know if the XP scaling is as extreme at power 16. Oh, I forgot this bell existed. This bell just makes a lot of corrupt stuff spawn when you ring it. Honestly, you really should be able to make Hell Mode harder if you ring this bell. I think that would make it a lot more interesting if you got a harder Hell Mode, but got like 2x rewards or something. Again, that's another really easy thing they can do in a weekly that I believe would actually result in somewhat of a difference. Elder Criminal was an example of that. I originally proposed the idea, then Crimson Kaido independently also proposed it. Algamatsu originally said that something like that wouldn't actually be very good, but we just kept fighting back on it. Eventually, I believe when he first started becoming a dev, he decided to hear us out and actually make Elder Primonon. And while it's obviously not the best boss in the game, it was never meant to be, for the amount of time it took to make Elder Primonon, I'd say it turned out to be pretty good. Although personally, I'm not a fan of it just giving constant relics and how easy it is to loot snake. I believe that taking people's loot should be a thing that exists in PvE, well, non-instance, but it has to be something that's earned and not just, oh, I sit in Tacit and then I steal all your loot when you kill the boss. Something like that is lame. Hell mode is a slightly better example of it, where you can run Hell mode with a PvP build and just fight off any death gankers trying to gank you. But Elder Primadon is sort of like that, but even if you're attacking leeches, then they still like steal half your relics. Plus, Elder Primadon is something that actively costs relics to start. So I believe something like that should have stricter anti-snaking protection. Either my two proposals are you just need at least 10% damage, or you can't open the chests at all while in combat, so it's the winner of the gank that actually gets the loot. The latter of these is obviously less favorable to PvE players, but it's sort of like, if they do want to be harsh to us, then I think that's the fairest way of going about it, since you can always hire guards to protect you while you're doing Elder Primadons. Anyways, we should also have Steam now, which Steam is surprisingly good for the Diluvian, especially at lower investments. Flame Assault, that's another mantra we're gonna use. Our bread and butter combo is honestly just gonna use Warden's Blades into Burning Servants, because that spawns a very easy Steam vent, which is just constantly dealing damage and building us chain. Also, by now, we definitely have enough to where we don't need to invest into Frostdraw manually anymore, but I was honestly just doing it for fun. Oh, actually, wait, we're out of XP. I was not expecting that. But it's fine because we can just go do a Chaser and he'll give us all the XP we need. Keep investing into Frostdraw. I'll just see what remaining points that we have. We only want to get to 60 Frostdraw on the build just so we can get level 4 Frost Mantras. The difference between level 4 and level 5 isn't too much, so it doesn't really matter. Besides, sacrificing lower level Frost Mantras just gives us access to Steam, which is a really strong Diluvian talent. And we power it up somehow. Interesting. I hope it lets us get to power 20. I don't think Flash Boil is worth it, sadly. I will do some testing later on, but I don't think it's going to provide us with enough damage. I'll get Grand Feast, stacks on top of Carnivore. We'll never have to worry about Hunger, Blood, or Armor Durability. 2-star Ice Mantra, this could be Ice Flock, which it is not, sadly. It's fine because we can just go reroll it later. I'll see if we're lucky enough to get a power 20 power up, but I really doubt it. Yep, we're gonna have to go do a Chaser. And that's fine. Chase is pretty fun. I'm gonna be power 19 without equipment or without, like, any of my mantras leveled up. So it would really suck if someone takes that out of context to say my Diluvian build is bad, wouldn't it? I just decided to cut straight to the Bonekeeper fight because you've all seen the route 100 times. But I will be showing the stage after the Bonekeeper fight because people have actually asked me to. Mainly because not a lot of people actually know the route to escape Maze without flipping out of bounds. Or at least I had someone DM me about it, which means that a lot of people aren't aware. So we'll just climb over this wall, and I am going to make the jump across the void. We're going to take a fair amount of damage from it, but it's fast and it's cool and I like doing it. Just jump across here, and you will be fine as I've already cleared the void gap easily. You are going to take a fair amount of fall damage, but you can just Warriors Respite in the Union base like I will do, since I would prefer to have higher HP than lower HP while escaping the maze. So let me just interact with the lantern to clear parasites, as well as get the Union Hook talent. Now I'm nice and healed up, so I am going to try to commentate through most of this just to show you the route through cave. So you'll first start by coming here and flipping through this wall, then just run past these. And now the carbuncles are very annoying, and they can wipe you if you're not being careful. But we got up without them really hitting us that much. So to get out of cave, once you grab the spear, you come over here, go across this parasite pit. Try not to stand in it. It's not the end of the world if you do, but it's better if you don't. Then you'll run over here. There will be a Bonekeeper, I believe. Or, okay, no, it can be a Bounder. Climb up here, jump to the fence, and then by going over here, you'll just climb up this wall and turn around, and now you're out of the bottom layer of cave. Hug this wall going around, go forwards, and once you just keep hugging this wall, you just, well, this is where you originally go down to get spear. So just by following my pathing, you run past this Bonekeeper, don't get hit by this attack. climb up here, turn around, and then just keep hugging this wall, go forward, and then you're going to be at the exit of cave. And that is how you get spear and get out. A lot of people don't actually know it, which I honestly can't blame them for, since cave navigation can be very annoying. Like, if I had to get to puzzle route in cave, I wouldn't really know how to, since I've never really needed to learn it. But to continue to touch on a topic that I briefly talked about earlier, and that's what I wouldn't give to go back and make a build with pre-nerf shrine. A bug I wish I actually abused and had the skill to was the old power 30 bug, where essentially you'd open the Shrine of Order menu, invest a bunch of points with Adred and Autodidact in order to reach like whatever cards you needed, then you'd interact with Shrine of Order and it would revert your stats to far earlier and still divert your points with Shrine of Order. But by doing this, you could essentially abuse Shrine of Order to be like super omega pre-nerf shrine, or effectively power 30. That's a bug that I really wish I abused, since holy, if that was in the game nowadays, I could make some demonic PvE builds with it. I mean, that being said, I never really try to make my builds that utilize bugs that I think could get patched soon, since, you know, it'd suck to make a build and then it gets patched in like 1 week. And I do generally try to keep my builds, like, you could make them a couple months from now and they would still be useful. Okay, this Burnkeeper is really annoying. Okay, we're good. Like, even Lunar Lord, although Poser's Ring got patched, I purposely released heavy and light versions, although they were worse than Medium's peak at the time, just because I knew they would eventually get patched. I still wanted to, you know, have the builds be usable. And Lunar Lord V2 was very strong for a very long period of time. I think I did that as well with Seraph Soul, where you could equip Warlock's Mantle, which we actually thought was good for some reason, like myself included, for a while. And I didn't abuse the tech where you could equip it with 0 intelligence, because I knew eventually that was going to get patched and I didn't want my build to be unusable. Anyways, now let's start the Chaser fight. This is going to be a very quick fight because our build is going to do so much damage with my Power 19 Providence Lord's weapon. Break the jaws. Okay, 1 up high. I honestly could have done this a light hook list, but I just rather be safe. It's like, I don't care if my progs take a little bit longer. I don't want to take as many risks with them if I can avoid it. Oh yeah, guys, that's some massive damage. We did 1 whole bar. Okay, I'm just being satire at this point, but if you guys know, you know. That being said, info is probably the most valuable thing to me in this game, because you guys wouldn't know because I don't really talk about it, but I ended up dropping my 2nd World Serpent scale recently, and immediately one of my friends, Dust, ended up trying to trade for it. He offered me 250 Moon's Eyes, which I know as a fact is an incredibly generous pay for it. However, I'm at a stage of the game where I can basically do whatever I want, and I've got fans that are amazing enough that I don't really need to worry about getting a lot of repetitive items. Like, recently I asked for a Silver Knight's Helm, which was provided for me for a set that I was making, although I sadly won't be using it this time around, just because I do want to use the Deep Storm cast because of Rush Hour. But I'll put his name on screen since he just gave me that Silver Knight's Helm with nothing in return, and was just super nice to me. Okay, a little off topic, I just like talking about how amazing you guys are sometimes. But yeah, there's not a lot in this game that's actually really that valuable to me. I honestly just wanted to keep World Serpent scale for the flex, even though 250 Moon's Eyes was more than worth it for me, and would have given me a lot more value in the future. It's just that the flex of having the scale is honestly more valuable to me than its trading potential. However, what I would trade it for is any sort of bug that would be extremely strong in build making specifically. So just bugs that pertain to stat points. That's the thing that I value most, because more than anything, what I want to do in this game is just make the strongest builds I can, and just push the limits of what's already been made. Like, that's what makes Deepwoken interesting to me. So I might put up a bounty, or if you're watching this video and know some sort of stat point bug, I would be willing to give my scale in order to trade for a bug of sufficient power. Realistically, there's not anything else that I would really trade it for. I did get DM'd a minute ago where a trader is attempting to trade his drowned eyeglasses for my scale, which I think could be worth it. However, I don't think the drowned eyeglasses actually give any tangible buff, which is the main concern that I'd have. Because again, I trade off based what I need instead of what's actually valuable. That being said, at the end of the day, I do like having incredibly valuable items. I think this should be Chaser dead here, he should be too low to regen. Alright guys, a pretty quick chaser fight. Only took 2 cycles, I think. So yeah, not bad. Also, this should give us enough XP in order to power up, because once we power up again, I can just auto-didact the rest of the way, and I don't actually need all the points to get... Did he just pick me up and put me back down? Well, thank you, Chaser. Very kind of you. And there is my power up. He also gives good bell prog, so maybe it is worth doing Chaser again once I get a lot of my mantras. I will grab Scrap Singer just so I can maintain high armor durability. I'll get Artisan's Blades for more damage. Refine and Reuse to reduce pen against me, that's always useful. And then Relentless Flames, because even though it's going to be at level 2, it still does quite a lot of damage and is just really strong. Plus, most of my other mantras are generally long-lasting or attack independently of me, so having something like Relentless Flames is always pretty good. So a quick intermission between Chaser kills, I am going to be trading my Champion's Cape and my second Doom or Caranthril scale in order to get unobtainable Drowned Eyeglasses. This is kind of ironic because I was just yapping about only trading for power, and this is one of the few things that can make me slightly stronger. Alright, let's pick up the eyeglasses. Let's see, they are Drowned, 5% DVM, 5% monster armor. So here is my second scale and my Champion's Cape. That is most players' net worths right there for me to get a slight buff only when I'm using Celestial Boots. Please vouch? Yes, I will very much be vouching, especially because you did drop me an unobtainable first. Can't really ask for much more. You know, if you need more, I don't have that many scales. I'm unfortunately not quite that rich. I'm gonna soulbound this eventually, and I'm gonna be voiding multiple scales. I'm gonna be voiding people's net worths by soulbanding this. Do you know how much my account's gonna be on the black market? That's a joke, by the way. It's a joke, by the way, moderators. Just saying that's a joke. But like, it could get like a down payment on a house at this point. So after a couple chases, this makes the third one on this build. So hopefully I should have Bell from Chaser now. I'm just gonna get low and Bell check. Actually, no. I'll come back into layer 2 and Bell check. But I'm also doing Chaser so I can get a bunch of deep gems, since I always seem to run low on blues. Also with this, I can max out the investment points on the build with 60 to spare. I probably didn't even need to do all that frost trading. There's a few more blue gems for me to take. You know, I should probably take everything just to sell it for notes. Now it's time to Bell check myself. We're obviously hoping to get Sacred Field on this build, just because damage reduction is pretty nice. So let's see if we get lucky. And nothing we need. That's a pretty bad sign going off how things usually go. I'll just withdraw a few idols and hopefully I get lucky with my Bell this time around. So many times during the progression, I'll get like a legendary Bell before actually getting what I want. Okay, that was totally on me for clicking way too early and missing it. I got it on my second idol too. That's like really, really good luck for me. Oh god, now it's gonna take like 50 more idols and I'm gonna go bankrupt. Payback is another alternative for a potential Bell I could use because it does give me some pretty good damage. However, I do want to be able to pop Sacred sometimes and just not think about it. While I am pretty safe in Payback, Sacred Field is just constant and I don't need to think about it. Plus, I should be getting enough damage to deal with Enforcers and Squibbos easily, which are the two main problem enemies. Okay, there's a Sacred Field, pop a Sinner's Ash, and I don't know if this is a good Sacred. I think this Sacred might be a bit too big in order to actually be good, so I'll probably need to just go test in the Diluvian. I'll also transfer over the actual equipment and craft my Master Armor. Thankfully, because I've been doing a lot of Diluvians lately, that means that I have plenty of mantra modifiers stored in my bank, because we are going to be pretty heavily modifying a lot of the mantras on this build just to get maximum AoE. Although I will be modifying some of them to be a little bit cautious of the ether cost. Since, although I can cast Flame and Iron Sing mantras for free, the same can't be said about Frost Draw. And being able to cast something like Warden's Blades is really important for the Enforcers or Squibbos. Burning Servants I will make come out really fast and have a really big size. However, that is going to result in a pretty big ether cost. However, it's definitely worth it in my opinion. Now for Flame Assault, we just want glass. Yeah, we want glass stones. So I believe we can craft them at the workbench. I think it might just be this. Okay, let's actually look it up. Magnifying. Oh, it's perfect in Stratus. Okay, well, we only want 3 of them. And then glass stones, we also want 3 of those. I'll probably play around with the mantra mods even more later on, but for now, I'm just going to initially put all the mods that we need. With 3 of each, only a 40 ether cost, which goes up to 130. Okay, let's check the size on this mantra. Okay, yeah, that's good. We're using this as a way to just get a little bit more damage as well as light things on fire. Because it's really short, we can quickly cast it as well. Now on Flame Wisp, we're obviously just going to mod it with max duration because we cast it before the Diluvian and forget about it. I need to grab a Blast Spark out for Frozen Servants because Blast Spark makes it deal a lot more damage. Oh, there's actually a scroll menu. I didn't even know that. Now, I don't think... Okay, Warden's Blades does need to be modified. I am just going to chuck 3 Strata Stones on it, which should make it... Okay, yeah, that's plenty big enough in order to take out anything we need to. Okay, now I think we just need to head to Songseeker in order to get a blindfold so we can actually unlock Blind Seer on this build. I don't know if my recording bugged out, but we got a Crimson Blindfold, so I am just going to go get the Pocket Bombs talent, and then we can head back to Eaterus in order to actually get our Oath. The Pocket Bombs talent will give us 1 more HP. However, I just need to clear out the Mind Skippers over here. I probably should have done this earlier. Actually, no, I was in the depths or prog. Just go in here and hold block. It's so weird seeing Frost Roll mantras without Crystal because I'm so used to it. Like, I'm always using Crystal because that's better. However, this time around, Steam is actually more optimal. I mean, worst case, I can always roll off Steam and then go select Crystal anyways. Anyways, we don't need any of this. And wait, did I actually get the family recipe talent? Okay, we did. Alright, now I will just need to go Mystic for Pocket Bombs, and then hope we get it when we do the extra talent hand quests after we get our Oath. So it should just be the Saboteur. Okay, there's only 3 we could possibly roll, so that's a pretty high chance of getting Pocket Bombs. Plus, I also have a ton of burns saved up from before, so it's pretty likely that we'll get it. Is the Watcher good? He's kind of like, yeah, he's fine. Anyways, there was multiple oaths that I could have gone on this build. The obvious one was Dawnwalker, but I figured that the AoE was honestly not worth it and might have just been too slow in the end. Blind Seer is the obvious one we're going, just because Sightless Beam is incredibly powerful. Also, I don't have enough knowledge, so let me quickly fix that. And the other one was actually Soulbreaker, just because Ardor Scream is a 25% damage buff, and I can do it without being at full ether. So it's very powerful. But overall, I figured that Blind Seer would give me the fastest and easiest clear times. But like with a lot of my builds, feel free to modify it to suit whatever you want to actually play. There should be enough knowledge, so interact with this. And now we have Sightless Beam, probably the strongest mantra in the game. Actually, not probably, it certainly is the strongest PvE mantra in the game, if you can land it. What I want to do now is actually test how strong Boiling Point is. If you don't know, that's the Steamer mantra that actually detonates these steam eruptions in order to deal damage. Because I have low investment Flame and sort of mid investment Frost, I want to see how strong it is. So we'll reroll this talent, and we didn't get it. Okay, let's attempt that again. Exchange Condition Swimmer. Why are we not getting it? I did just Mystic for it, right? Yeah, I'll start to use my burns anyways. Did I not Mystic for Vaporborn? I didn't. I don't know what I clicked on, but it wasn't Steam Path, apparently. Okay, we should actually get it this time because there's only 1 card in the tree. There is... Oh, we need full reset. Okay, never mind. Take full reset, and... Well, we don't need Ready or Not on a Diluvian build since we get hit so many times and we're already in danger. So I won't pick the card right now just to demonstrate to you guys what I'm dealing with Steam. And there's no dummies. Let me change servers. There we go. We actually have dummies. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Warden's Blades and then I'm going to Uppercut. And as you can see, we're getting around 14 damage per Steam proc. Obviously, it's increasing as we get more chain stacks. So now if I actually get Boiling Point, then hopefully that damage increases. So I should have... I don't know what would have been the eruption in that, so I'm just going to do it again. There's a steam cooldown? Okay, let's do this. Actually, no, we can't test on that. Okay, proc steam. I think that only did like 140 damage. So 140 versus... Well, that'd be like 10... About 10 procs. Actually, not even, because with high chain, it's like actually really fast. 140. That appears to be multiple, actually. I'm going to read the wiki on this. Maybe the wiki is more specific, because this is kind of hard to figure out on my own. Okay, so just looking at the wiki, each steam cloud does 2 damage per tick in PvP, and boiling point does about 5 times that. So I actually don't think that's worth it, since the monsters are going to stay in the steamer options. Therefore, I'm just going to go roll off that talent. We still need pocket bombs anyways, so I can just go get that right now. Trying to chance and get rid of boiling point. It would need to be something like 50 damage to make it even worth it, probably. There was the wrong bombs talent because we needed pocket bombs. There we go. And that also pushes our HP to being exactly 540 with just under 50 physical resistance. So that's pretty good. I'm gonna go touch up my hair combos, transfer the right weapon over, and we can finally start to practice the Diluvian. We want to get an Iron Spear with the Trident Spear critical, just because it's a high multi-hit, and if I put Seer on it, then I can reach max Seer stacks instantly. So that's why I just bought a Battle Axe, so I can transfer it off Shining Maelstrom V2. I'll also need to go dig around my slots for a Seer Enchant Stone, but I believe I have a bunch on my weapons bank. I'll check my bank real quick, and yeah, I don't have any of them. I'm in private server for a second just because it's the most updated servers, and I want to show you a bug that's unfortunately back. So if I try to dye one of my hair IDs, then it doesn't dye, and despite the fact that I'm clicking, yeah, dye packets are currently bugged, so I can't dye my hair. You're just gonna have to put up with the blue hair. Let's go to the Diluvian though. For the final part in the prog, I'm just gonna voice over what ended up being my personal best Diluvian run on this build. Now, I will say ahead of time, this run is not perfect, as in, I could have probably saved another 20 or so seconds with better RNG or gameplay, but I think this run is pretty good and does demonstrate the power of this build. The main thing that you'll see, and are about to see, is how strong Sightless Beam can be, because I'm just one mantra one-shotting a lot of the waves. Now, some of the waves like this tend to be a little more annoying, as deep owls just move around a lot and don't get hit, and this build becomes significantly stronger if stuff is just standing in the steam. So I do lose a fair amount of time here, but that's fine because the deep owl still dies pretty fast. Enforcers are honestly more annoying, and you'll see why later. Although I do get actually pretty good RNG on this run. This is the second wave that just gets one shot. As soon as the deep owls are in front of me, I cast Sightless Beam, and within a couple seconds they're dead. Now, I do have Flame Within as a damage buff, but because my Flame Wisp is such low level, I don't always pop it. Once everything's grouped up, it's generally killed by a combination of Warden's Blades, Frozen Servants, and Relentless Flames. Also, you do notice that sometimes these Pteropods just don't aggro, and this is what I was talking about with the time losses. It's small things like this that once I play a lot more, I'll be more aware of, and it's not going to get in the way. I could have gotten a Sightless off here to one-shot the wave again, but I just got unlucky, which did leave an Enforcer. However, they're not too hard to deal with if you're actually able to parry them and get your iframes. As you can see, he pretty much just died from one Wardens and Frozen Servants. Once all the Threshers were grouped up, I just used all my AoE moves to kill them as fast as possible. I can Sightless Beam here, however, I do like to save it for this wave, just because the jellyfish can be really annoying, and it's good to just be able to one-shot them. I did get hit up by the Threshers, which made me miss a lot of the damage of Sightless. However, I just deal enough that I can clean up the rest of the monsters. Wave 19 is an alternate wave that Sightless just shreds on, but even so, with a combination of the Seer build-up from my Spear and all my mantras, I can shred through a lot of the enemies. If you don't know, Seer can give you, I believe, 30 or 40% extra pen, bypassing the pen cap, which is crazy. I got really lucky on Enforcers here, and pretty much 2 mantra killed them as well, so we enter wave 21 at under 3 minutes. This honestly could have been like a 230 third half if I actually got better RNG, but I do get lucky here and manage to shred most things. But it's mainly just the Enforcer that's being really annoying. However, I do take it out in the end. If you're really good at managing multiple targets, then the Enforcers are fine. Wave 22 is probably the hardest wave from wave 1 to 25. However, I get lucky with Metal Rain and manage to kill everything without too many issues. If you're not as prepared, then you can get stunlocked by these Squibos and Enforcers, which is pretty annoying. Now I've once again just used Sightless, and it cleans up about 80% of the wave, only leaving a single Thresher and a Deep Widow, which get killed by Burning Serpents. Now this is the final wave before wave 25, so I try to save some of my mantras for that, as well as I will pop my bell at the end of this round, just so I can stat check the bounders. I am using an Ishin's Ring, so these guys actually do some pretty notable damage. I get pretty lucky here with both of them pouncing into me. If I timed this better, Sightless Beam could have probably killed both here, which would have given me a sub 4 minute run. However, I didn't, which is fine because I deal enough damage that I clear wave 25 in 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Very improvable. And this is where I'm going to call the Abyss Delver PvE build progression. This is the most profitable build to make in the game, as it can get you insane amounts of relics, because it's optimized to farm the Diluvian the most efficient way to actually gain you relics. So if you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, because at 2,500 likes or 500 subscribers gained, I will be dropping every Diluvian V4, which will include well over 50 Diluvian PvE builds that have been completely min-maxed for whatever type of Diluvian build you want to make. So join the Discord so you don't miss that. A huge thank you to my channel members, especially those kind souls in the Mega and Super tiers. They get these videos early along with other channel member perks. Check out some more PvE content, and I'll see you all next time.